we talked about at the beginning of the show a little bit about what you were saying about Bama. I want to let you say what you think about Alabama, and then we're going to chop it up, old school style, but not in a way that'll get us in trouble, Matt. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Listen, first of all, everyone that's seen any of those rants, radio's fun. I love doing radio. Okay? Like, when did we stop having fun with sport? When did sports just become point, counterpoint, boring diatribe? Like, have fun. It's sports.
That's every day here.
That's exactly.
We call that Tuesday.
That's my point. My point about Bama has consistently been, will continue to be, I think Kalen DeBoer is a good coach. And I'll do this in a sensible way instead of yelling with flames all around the screen.
I don't know. I like that. We got a dragon.
I love
over
that.
here.
I love that too. But people can go get that on anywhere online.
Smart man.
I think Kalen DeBoer is a good coach. He's won everywhere he's been. He's inheriting maybe the most stable situation that a coach could inherit in the history of college football, because he's inheriting a situation where the greatest coach in the history of college football won at a level unlike any other coach had won for the last 17 years. It is just an absolute impossibility for Kalen DeBoer to continue to win at the level that Nick Saban won. And he is at a place where the people are absolute lunatics. And I mean that respectfully. I know that's not going to come across respectfully, but the level of expectation that program and that fan base is so out of whack that there is no chance he could ever possibly meet their expectations. The closest thing, guys, I can compare to, in this is not a what and what, and I get it, and this won't resonate with everybody, but here in Baton Rouge, LSU had the greatest college baseball coach ever. Skip Ertman won 5 national titles in 10 years. There is a statue of him. The stadium's named. He is revered. You have had 2 coaches since him come and win national titles, but they will never be him. And they are all judged by the standard he set. So I think that's what Kalen DeBoer is up against. The roster isn't going to be what it was under Nick, and they're not going to win the way they did. Even if they win a lot, it's never going to be enough.
Well, you know, Matt, something that I've talked about too, I talked about this when the coaching search was going on, and you had other people in sports media, college football guys saying, oh, that sounds cowardly. You can't be scared to go follow the greatest of all time. If you really look at it, you never really want to be the guy that follows the guy. You want to be the guy that follows the guy that followed the guy. And it's easy for people to sit behind a desk or me sit here or into a microphone and say, yeah, don't be a coward, go do it. You're not having to make that decision. It's easy to Monday morning quarterback this thing and try and act like you're Big Billy Badass. My point stands true. Kalen DeBoer could have stayed at Washington. You're losing Michael Penix. Ryan Grubb would probably still be there and be fine and keep taking that program to new heights. I do give him credit for taking this job. But, Matt, if they go 9-3, which there are people that will crawl over broken glass, butt naked, upside down to go 9-3 next year, and they don't make the playoff, there will be absolute panic, regardless of how good Kalen DeBoer will do in the future. So I want to ask you what I asked David Cohn. If Kalen DeBoer does not win a national championship or play for a national championship in the next 3 years, what will the level of panic be at Alabama if they hover anywhere between 10-2 1 year to 8-4 1 year? What's the level of panic there, you think?
I mean, it's full-on erosion of culture. I mean, it's, of course, you can call it panic is probably a good word to say, but Jake, look at the gap between titles now.
Yeah.
If you go 3 more years, what would you be talking about? 1 title in 9 years? Mm-hmm. I mean, after Nick had won 6 in 12, I don't math well. Right? I'm trying to do it at the top of my head. But the point is, like, when you become accustomed to winning at that level, and you take a step back, even though you're still in rarefied air, you're not at the top. So yeah, like I don't know that I would tell you Kalen DeBoer is only going to last 3 years, but I don't think he's winning a national title in 3 years. You can clip that and put it on here. I would be stunned if he won a national title in 3 years. Yeah. You're talking about a roster that has clearly eroded from what it was under Nick Saban through I mean, they lost more 5 stars than anybody. That was always the greatest thing about Nick, is like he just had this turntable, this conveyor belt of 4 and 5 stars rolling through. Guys, last year, Kalen DeBoer in this most recent class signed 9 3-stars. The most Nick Saban had ever signed was 6. I mean, it's
well, how much
undeniable.
shrinkage? Well, Matt, how much shrinkage do you give that, though? Because it is him coming in and replacing Nick Saban, right? It kind of is a little bit of a new era. You look at their recruiting class now. I mean, they're hotter than a fat kid in a first sleeping bag at summer camp in Arizona.
He's already got 5 3-stars committed for this class. It is a different standard. Like, nobody has Nick's standard. I mean, LSU's got the number 2 recruiting class in the country right now at On 3. Bama's 6. 6 is great. But when you go 15 years and every year you're 1 or 2 in the country, not some years, every year you're 1 or 2, and now you're 6, you're 8. Like, now you look more like LSU. And look, LSU's won 3 national titles and played for a 4th since 2003. Nick was one of those, obviously. And they've had these moments where they've had these upper echelon teams, but it's not an every year thing at LSU. The 8-4, 9-3 conversation is really common around here. And then you look for the once every 4 or 5 years breakthrough where you're good enough to compete for and win a championship. Like, I think that is the level Bama is going to regress to.
Yeah, well, we'll see where the rankings are at the end. I do want to give time to let it breathe, David.
Matt, so I want to run a revisionist history experiment by you right here. Let's say after 2003, after Nick Saban had led LSU to that split national championship with USC, that Nick Saban doesn't leave LSU. He wins 6 national championships for the Tigers, just like he did at Alabama, and he just retired. And LSU hired Kalen DeBoer, a guy who went 104-12 at all of his previous stops. Would you be saying the exact same things to the LSU fan base, or would you be getting them excited about the new coach who's there and how well he's done everywhere?
I think if you're working in a market, of course you're going to have the conversations where you play to your base, and that's what I would expect Alabama media is doing right now with Kalen DeBoer. But sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees. I mean, it's realistically, I'd like to think I'd be realistic, Cone. I mean, I covered Nick Saban's teams, and when Les Miles took the job, guys, go back and look at it. When Les Miles got hired by LSU, and I know Les isn't, Nick wasn't then what he is now, but to LSU, you have to understand, Nick Saban won the first national title in Baton Rouge in 45 years.
He was y'all's Harry Potter.
I don't get the reference because I've never seen Harry Potter.
It makes sense, Matt. Just trust me.
Okay, I'm going to go with it. He was our Harry Potter. So he comes when your first national title in 45 years takes you to a place you literally never thought. I was born in 82, guys. My earliest recollections of LSU football were 6 straight losing seasons with Mike Archer and Curly Hallman. So when Nick came through and got to Atlanta and won an SEC championship in 2001, it was like Atlanta was forbidden fruit. Nobody was talking about national championships. SEC championships felt like forbidden fruit. So when Nick left and Les came in, I mean, Les had just gotten blown out in his last game at Oklahoma State in a bowl game. And there was like a little bit of fear and panic, like, what did we just do? Who did we just hire, sort of thing. So, I mean, Conan, a long way of answering your question. I don't even know if I'm answering it, but I understand why if you cover Alabama, you're going to look for the positives in the situation. Yeah. But realistically, you have to look at the circumstance and say, nobody is going to be Nick, because if they were, they'd have to be literally the greatest college football coach ever.
And I believe you. I think I've always known you to be a very realistic and transparent and honest guy. I don't think it's any sort of crazy soundbite to say that Kalen DeBoer is not going to do as well at Alabama as Nick Saban did, because he did better than any other college football coach in the history of the sport. So just the last question for you here. Will Kalen DeBoer do better at Alabama than Brian Kelly will at LSU?
Ooh, I like that one.
I think Brian Kelly will win a national championship at LSU. I do not think Kalen DeBoer will win a national championship at Alabama. Okay. So
there you go. There you go. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and I can look and say that the last 3 coaches at LSU, 2 of whom were Les Miles and Ed Ogeron, won national championships. Like, you have an inherent advantage. And if I'm going to paint some more color behind it, LSU right now has the number 2 class in the country for 2025, including Bryce Underwood, who is the number 1 quarterback in the country.
We interviewed him.
Yeah.
We interviewed
Great kid.
Yeah.
Great kid.
Like, he is, by anybody's standards, as good or better than Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence at this age. We'll see how he progresses through college. And then if you go look at 2026, there are 3 players in the top 10 in the country who live within an hour of LSU's campus. Like, the next 2 years, there is a bumper crop for Brian Kelly that he can use to build a championship roster in the same way that we saw manifest in 2003 with a bunch of Louisiana guys, the 11 team that played for a title with a bunch of Louisiana guys, and then 19 with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and Patrick Queen and so many of those dudes who are from Louisiana who went on to be first-round draft picks who were the core of that team from this state. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, all those guys were Louisiana guys, and that cycle looks like it's repeating in 25, 26.
Yeah, Blaine, LSU, I mean, Louisiana, and they don't go anywhere else. There's no Bama,
they got
Auburn. There's no Ole Miss,
Well,
Mississippi
Nick used to get them.
Oh, hell yeah.
He's like
smart.
Devontae Smith was a kid from Amite, Louisiana.
He went to Alabama and then still got him.
Matt, how much do you hate Nick Saban?
I love Nick Saban. But I'm dead serious. Like, I'm an outlier among LSU people. You have to understand, Nick, I was a senior at LSU when LSU won the national title in 2003. That is still one of the greatest, as a sports fan, maybe that and the Saints winning the Super Bowl, the greatest moments of my life as a sports fan. Because I never thought it would happen. So I am eternally grateful for what Nick Saban did. Nick Saban awoken the sleeping giant in Baton Rouge. Like, everything this program has been over the last 2 decades, he was the catalyst.
Yeah.
So I will never forget that. And he didn't leave LSU to go to Bama. He left LSU to go to the NFL, which everybody, when Nick Saban took the job, knew he was going to go to the NFL. He had flirtations with the NFL every year.
He's Belichick's dude, man. Yeah, like
people cheered for Nick when he was with the Dolphins, man. They played the Saints after Katrina at a game in Tiger Stadium, and there were more LSU fans cheering for the Dolphins than there were Saints fans in that game. So I love Nick Saban. I will always revere Nick Saban for what he did in Baton Rouge. I hated watching LSU lose to him for 2 decades, but when you beat him, it made it even sweeter. But I don't hate Nick Saban. I revere him.
Nice.
I love that. Let's go to David S. He wants to know, #AskMatt. He says, be honest. How much are you letting your hatred of Bama cloud your judgment in regards to the QB they took from SMU? The guy was still a top 40 recruit, and I'm not a Bama fan, by the way.
It's so funny how where we started with radio is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not fun, Matt. You say good things about Alabama.
I mean, it's a bit. It is fun to get the melt. Is what's the kid's name? Keelan something?
Yeah, it's Keelan Russell. Keelan Russell
from Duncanville. Yeah.
I know, guys, I don't do recruiting. Okay. I don't follow. I don't go to recruiting circuits. I'm not watching grainy footage of 4 stars from Central Texas. I don't do it. What I do know, here's the point. All right. I'll give you a rational point of view. Julian Sayin was a 5-star, the number 1 quarterback in the country. He was committed to Alabama. He decommits when Nick leaves. He goes to Ohio State. Alabama doesn't sign a quarterback in last year's class. Now they're flipping a kid from SMU. Julian Sayin and the kid from SMU are not the same. Now, maybe Julian Sayin ends up having a bad career, and maybe Keelan Russell ends up being awesome. And we'll see, and time will play out. And if he is, all the Bama fans will fill my Twitter and laugh at me, and that's fine. I don't care. That's the fun part about sports. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. Strikes and gutters. But I'm not letting anything cloud my judgment. I don't want Alabama to be good. I want them to lose in everything. There's nothing clouded here. I just can also very rationally look and say Bryce Young was a 5-star. Jalen Hurts was the number 1 dual threat quarterback in the country. I can look at Tua was a 5-star. You lost a 5-star and got a kid from SMU. He's probably going to be really good, but he ain't going to be the number 1 pick in the draft like Bryce Young was.
Matt, something funny, and you'll get a kick out of this. Went to On3. I was looking up the Keelan Russell kid from the SMU that flipped to Bama. And they do the comparisons. Like, who does this kid remind us of? Try and take a guess who they had Keelan Russell compared to.
I don't know, but the way you set it up, I'm going to guess Jaden Daniels.
That's 100% correct. It's just funny. I just thought it was funny.
And you know what? Maybe he'll win a Heisman on a team that goes 9-3
That's gonna
and
be
plays
tough.
in the ReliaQuest Bowl.
Hey.
Good luck, Keelan.
Hey, listen, I would love, after what Jaden Daniels did, incredible.
go Yankees, Matt.
Hey, listen,
Let's
don't
go.
give me, yeah.
Come on, we're rolling.
I knew you had to sneak that one in there. Matt, thanks so much for making time for us, brother. Please tell everybody where they can find you. I always love having you as we cruise to football season. I know we're going to chop it up a lot more.
Yeah, man. We're syndicated all over the state of Louisiana, but we're everywhere. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. If you can spell my name, you can find me. Moscona. Love you guys, man. Looking forward to seeing y'all in Dallas.
Hey, appreciate it.
Thanks,
Love
buddy.
you too, brother.
Matty.
Be safe. Appreciate it. Matt
All right,
Moscona,
guys.
one of our favorites. YouTube, what's up? Thanks for stopping by. Listen, number one, we appreciate you. Because deep down, we know without you, there's no us. So make sure if you haven't subscribed yet, you haven't hit that like button, you haven't told everybody in your family and everybody you know about the show, then do that. America would thank you.